Charter school. So, charter schools. Look, I have said that I do favor charter schools. However, I do believe that the original intent of charter schools has changed a lot since they first began. What I did not know until recently, and I'm glad I learned this, that there's, in some instances, no accountability for some charter schools who do get either state assistance or direct money. And so that's an area that I believe needs to be reformed, because if they are going to get tax dollars, then they got to be accountable to them. And the controller at this point has no oversight whatsoever over charter schools. So am I in favor of them? Yes, but I do believe that there needs to be better accountability. And we also have to look at exactly where they're going, because there is a deep need in some areas, and there, quite frankly, is not a need in others.
Would you still raise the cap?
Well, there's no limit at this. First of all, I know the cap is, but they're way below the cap, so at this point, there's no need to raise the cap. No. Yes, sir. Yes.
That doesn't necessarily mean that I would haven't voted for a Republican. I voted for Jack,
Good.
who ran against another.
Yeah.
But I'm also in New York City Public Schools.
Yep. What do you teach?
I teach English as a second language.
Oh, good.
Immigration is important to me,
Yeah.
but also New York City schools are important.
Sure.
And even though you can say you're for charters, and I'm not opposed to charters, I've been in charter schools in New York City for a long time. But what's happening in New York City is not just people coming up with a good idea and thinking they want to start a school and help the kids. These are for-profit charter schools that are being run by hedge fund billionaires. And the perfect is if they want to move in, they take the space away from the public school students. The public school students, many of them are still in trailers, they have no space. What Cuomo did, after de Blasio just tried to limit the number of charter schools, for-profit charter schools, Cuomo said that de Blasio had to pay the rent for the charter schools, even though these charter schools are making money. It's a for-profit industry. They have a one-day fundraiser for Success Academy, and they raise $7 million. So they don't need the public school funds. They don't need to be taking the money away from public school students. So you can say you're for charter schools, and I appreciate that, but I need to know where you stand for profit charter schools.
Well, I was in Schenectady yesterday, and we had basically a forum on Common Core, and there were people that came from Long Island, Western New York, as far as Rochester, the Albany area, and from all over. And we talked about charters, we talked about Common Core and the curriculum and what it's doing. We talked about a whole bunch of stuff. Now, as I've said, look, who I am is who I am. So I'm not changing on my position on charters, in that I do agree with the concept of charters. I have been educated, though, and this is interesting. And what was the name of the high school we were at here in Suffolk? Which one? Hemsquad, that's right. And it was a really interesting day, because I still remember this. I don't think it was you, though. No, I was there, because after the meeting.
It was the I refuse round.
It was the I refuse, okay. After the meeting, we went out in the hallway, and a teacher came up to me and said to me, "Where are you on charters?" So I said, I am basically, started to tell me about some of the rules and some of the things that quite honestly, I had never known until that moment, that they have no oversight whatsoever on the private ones. Which, if they are, as I mentioned before, if they are taking dollars, tax dollars, or if they are getting special breaks that otherwise would go into public education, traditional public education, then they need oversight. There is not a question about it. To me, first of all, I can't believe that there is no oversight to this, which to me is almost unreal. So it's something that I'll look at. I'm evolving on a little bit, but I'm open-minded on some of this stuff. There's no question about it. But let me say, first and foremost, as the product of the public school, as the husband of a special ed teacher, and as 3 kids who are going into public schools, and as my career started on the school board, I believe very, very much in public education. There's not a question about it. And we should be demanding better. There's not a question. We are a state that spends more on public education than any other state in America, and we're in the bottom half of results. We do have to figure out what the problem is, because it's not always necessarily more money. And people on the local level are saying, I can't pay any more taxes. So we got to figure out what the issues are. The unions have to give, the public has to give, but we got to figure this one out, because the way it's going, it's just going to be unaffordable. It's going to be completely unaffordable. So, one more.
I brought punches.